Welcome to Aging Well in America. I'm Marie Gattari, your host. Every day, 10,000 people in the United States turn 65 years old. 5.5 million people today are the age 85 or older. By the year 2050, that number will grow to 20. 20 million people will be older than 85. Are we ready? Is America ready? There's so much good work going on around the country and right here in our own community. And we have with us today two people who are at the helm leading some of the best work going on in this part of the Tri-County area. I'd like to welcome Rich Shetler from the Grosse Pointe Woods Council.
Thank you.
Council member, thank you for coming, Rich. Nice to have you. And an old friend, Sharon Maier from Services for Older Citizens.
Thank you.
Yes. So we've talked before we came on, we were talking about the demographics, really what's going on. It's no secret. Our population is aging. There will be more seniors than there will be school children in the Grosse Pointes in the not too distant future. Rich, you were mentioning a SEMCOG research report that you recently received.
Yes,
Tell us about that.
Approximately several months ago, SEMCOG brought out a report talking about a future study as far as where they see the Tri-County area and then also specifically the Grosse Pointe area in regards to demographics, makeup, age, etc. And more or less in the next 48 months is when we're going to start seeing the shift occur, that we're going to plateau when it comes to families with school children, and we're going to see a small, continuous, incremental percentage increase of aging in this area.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, with everything that's been going on lately in your introduction, etc., that we're very fortunate to have many organizations
Mm-hmm.
already at the forefront more or less getting ready for this.
Mm-hmm.
So as a community right now, we've done a lot of good work already and continuing to do so.
Mm-hmm. Now, before we talk about what those good works are, and of course we will in detail, what is the city of Grosse Pointe, as a council member that you are involved in a lot of the discussions
Right.
and the planning, what is the city doing specifically? How does a city prepare for a population like this?
Well, basically, Grosse Pointe Woods right now, we first of all have a senior commission,
Mm-hmm.
and of course that offers several programs to our seniors in the area. We also have a senior club as well. So from a social standpoint, there are many things
Mm-hmm.
going on to be active and involved and engaging with that group of our community, of our family. That's only one of many steps. Of course, there's always continuity when it comes to public safety, making sure that
Mm-hmm.
between police and fire and ambulance services that there's always things there
Mm-hmm.
to take care of everyone. Also making sure that when it comes to even specific niches in the population, that we have them well taken care of as well. That's things that Grosse Pointe Woods has done for many years and will continue to do so as well.
Right. So talk about the official relationship between the city and really all the Grosse Pointes and SOC.
Okay, well
in
specifically
terms of
one
funding,
absolutely, one of the things that we do is there's something known as CDBG, which is a Community Development Block Grant. Those are funds we receive federally and also through the county that then we basically pass on to SOC more or less as a liaison to act as our community involvement with specifically the senior population in the area. Each of the Grosse Pointes receives a CDBG grant annually. Then that money then is then specifically tailored / passed on to SOC for them to do all the programs that they always are so wonderful in doing for us.
Okay. So, Sharon?
Well, I think all of that's exciting about the relationships we have with the cities. That makes a big difference. But just the cities being strong communities, that sort of sets it up for seniors to be able to be here. You know, as you talked about everybody aging and our population growing, we want everybody to age in place, if they want to. If they don't, that's fine too. But what they're seeing sort of at a national level is people are aging where their families are. So, you know, Rich wants to be by his son and his dad wants to be by him. That's what's happening. So maybe in the 70s and 80s, what was happening was the seniors were moving to Arizona, to Florida, those kind of places. They're actually seeing an exodus out of those places to wherever the kids are. So as long as we have jobs in our area, we will want to age where our children are because we want to be by our grandkids. So this strong community is what really matters, where you can walk to the grocery store so it's safe, The police, like you said, that's really important for the seniors. The public transportation, we have door-to-door public transportation here in the Grosse Pointes. All those things help us be able to age in place. We do the framework and look forward for what the seniors are going to need as far as education and that. But this framework that the city set up, that's what matters. And all of the Grosse Pointes do a great job of it. Even the parks, you don't think of it, but safe place to walk,
Absolutely.
Sure. Fun place to play with your grandkids. But that's a community you want to age in place.
Right.
So I think that's a bigger partnership that SOC has is let's look out for the whole community and then it'll be good for the seniors.
So the definition of aging in place really is more global than aging in your own home.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's community.
It's right. It's your community, and it's the community you want to be in. I mean, I've actually had some of our seniors move to Chicago because that's where their kids are. On the same turn, we've had seniors move here because that's where their kids are. So that's kind of what we're seeing. They want to be able to age in a home in some way that's as a part of our community. And the richness of it is, I know to the school system and those kind of things, they get less kids. But the richness of it is we all give something to our community. So the seniors are giving something back, and the kids are giving something back. So we don't want to be a community where it's all seniors or it's all kids in school. It's not rich that way.
So a little sidebar, you mentioned on our way in empathy training that you're doing with one of Maier, I believe you said, elementary school.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
It's actually it's one of my favorite things to do. I do it personally because I really enjoy it, and I could pass it on to someone else in my agency, but I never do. But what we do is we bring out the gloves, we bring out the glasses for cataracts and those kind of things, and we let the kids understand what it's like.
These are elementary school kids?
Yes. I've done it with high schoolers, elementary, anyone that will sit down long enough. I did it at a parenting conference recently with parents. So we sit down and feel like what it's like to be a senior. And it's engaging and they get it. And I'll tell you, when I do it, I have a picture of Hazel. And I tell them what it feels like to be Hazel, and then they feel like what it feels like to be Hazel as they're going through this training. What's interesting is then the kids come back and do bingo and all these other things with our seniors, and when they walk in the room, they are running to find Hazel because they are now madly in love with Hazel. And now she's going to know why they're madly in love with her because I've been promoting her all this time. But the thing is, generations can work together.
Absolutely.
You know, as seniors, we get to be a little prejudiced about, you know, the way kids dress and stuff, but and the kids get to be a little prejudiced about the way they look, but if you get away from that, we're all alike on the inside.
Absolutely.
So that's what makes our community strong.
Absolutely.
That's what I think.
So let's get right to the exciting news, the exciting part. The new building is ready to open.
Yes. Yes, it'll open at the beginning of June, which I'm really excited about. And you mentioned the demographics growing, and we have been looking ahead to this for a while to see what we can do. But what's exciting about our building is we did take an old building and redo it so it would work. But what was really good about it is we have a lot of medium to small rooms inside of it. I care about that for a lot of reasons. One, you don't think about seniors hearing, but as you get older, you might have a harder time hearing. So being in a giant auditorium-sized room doesn't actually work for you. You know, being at a meeting where there's 40 people, all that background noise gets to be hard. The other thing I think is so important as we age is the bad news is our friends leave or pass away. So we are social animals. We need to develop relationships. It's really important. Smaller rooms help us develop relationships. If there's a 4-top table, you're more likely, even at a wedding, to chat with the person next to you than if it's an 8-top table. Then, so we've thought of that even in the construction of the building, and how can we develop relationships, which are the #1 important thing for aging well, and how can we make it so that seniors can enjoy themselves when they're here. So while we'll have all kinds of activities, which I'm very excited about, the basic framework of that building is right around what's really important for the community and for the seniors.
That's great. That's great. We're all so excited for all the events. How many events to celebrate the opening?
For our grand opening, we have 35 events because we're 35 years old. 35 years young this year. That's how old the agency is.
No kidding.
So 35 events we'll have to celebrate our
starting June 6th and running throughout the month.
Right, all the way till the end of June. A lot of them involve community organizations. We're having a giant taste fest, which will have the businesses come forward and they'll be sharing in it with us. We have panels about veterans benefits and different things. So it does the realm of education to fun, but all with the intent of helping seniors be independent.
Sure, that's great. So SOC, Rich, is one of many important examples of what the Grosse Pointe communities have going for them right now in
Correct.
terms of, as you said, being ahead of the curve in terms of preparing for the shifting demographics. What are some of the other things you're proud of in the community?
I'd say right now I have to point to the Rivers development in Grosse Pointe Woods. We have been very fortunate for this opportunity. This is a facility that does not basically exist either in Macomb or in Wayne County. It will exist in Grosse Pointe Woods. We have 40 cottages. I think every one but 2 has already been reserved. There's going to be a central building also for additional living space. And this is something, now personally for me, my grandfather, longtime East Side resident, when he needed a facility like this, the only one that he was able to go to was in Farmington. He had to then uproot his entire life to move out there. Now that this facility is going to be on the east side, at least I can smile knowing that if someone else's family has to go through this again, their family can stay in the area. And like Sharon was talking about, that they can age by their kids and by their grandkids. If this is their home, they can stay in their home. And the nicest thing is that they might only have to move maybe a half a mile away, not completely do an uproot and then move, you know, much further. So that's one exciting development. Another thing we talk about is, right near Sauk, is American House at Cottage. Once again, another facility that people can take advantage of. That, once again, they're not uprooting their life, they're just basically moving maybe even a few blocks away. They could still stay in their community, which is the important thing. That's what one of the main things that Sauk's always talked about was having people able to stay in their community. And we're just looking at now further extensions of that between the Rivers, between American House, and then with Sauk helping them, even more importantly, to stay in their own home. That's something that my grandparents were able to do for a very long time.
Yes.
And that gave them, I would almost go to the point of the dignity, to say that they could always be in their home and just have that environment that they've always been used to and comfortable with. So a lot of great things are going on right now for us. And as I said earlier, we're ahead of the curve. All these things will be basically ready well before we need them, so that when this next shift comes, we will be very well prepared.
Good. Neighborhood Club also. You
Absolutely.
mentioned Neighborhood Club is just reopened a few months ago with a brand new look and purpose, and lots of activities there, especially the water exercises, right?
And I think the whole realm of treating people like people with the Neighborhood Club, what they're doing, we were a tenant there, so they're my friends. But what they did really well is they have the physical therapy right there, and then it's on the same machines that you can come to and work out in the gym.
That's right.
So there's a little bit of, when you go to a gym, anxiety of, okay, how does this really work? What am I actually supposed to be doing? Form matters so much.
How do I not hurt myself?
Exactly. So, but once you get done with physical therapy, you want to keep doing it. So I think that was a really nice partnership that they had, where they're looking at the beginning from getting your knee replaced till how does it end. You know, I think another exciting thing about the Rivers and American House as well is, we say not uprooted, but to elaborate on that more, it's our churches, it's our doctors, it's our hairdresser, it's our dentist. All those things, when you move to another town when you're in your 30s, make you a little crazy. But when you move to another, you know, starting over when you're in your 70s or 80s, those are our relationships. Those are, the community is us. So having American House and the Rivers right there, I can still go to whatever church I came from. I can still get to my dentist. I don't have to change. So it keeps back to the relationships and those kind of things that are so important for us as we grow older.
Yeah, so true, so true. We hear stories about really some of the lengths people go to be able to stay in their own homes. I know my mom did a reverse mortgage on her condo after my dad died, so that she could afford to stay in her home with live-in caregiving. And it made a huge difference in the last couple years of her life. One little anecdote, my sisters and I were talking, trying to figure out when she was really needing the most care, what and how we were going to handle it. And she kind of nodded her head down and said, go ahead, just break up housekeeping. Just go ahead and do it. And those words, break up housekeeping, that's how our parents and grandparents think of it when they're moved into, you know, someplace that they don't want to go to.
Right.
Of course,
right.
for many, 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 I want to point out that a facility is a good solution. Independent living, assisted living, it's a place where there's social activity, and we know there's a lot of good things going on in many of them as well. So it's just great that what we're doing, what I feel we're doing here in the Grosse Pointes is giving people options.
Yeah, it's at any point in life you always wanted options, to be able to decide what we can do and how we can do it. That's another thing that we offer at SAC and will continue to do, is the education on how all this works. You know, no one wants to pay attention to it, just like when you sent your kids to kindergarten. You didn't think about it until you went to kindergarten roundup. And then you thought, okay, I need to do all these things. But it's the same thing with aging. We don't want to think about it until we're in that position of maybe senior housing. So we continually offer education on senior housing, how to choose one, what to look for. We continue to offer education on Medicare, Medicaid, how to choose one, what to look for. Even, we're fortunate to be in this community where we do one-on-one sessions on those things. We can sit down with you. We'll do general education, but your questions might be so in-depth on Medicare or housing that we'll sit with you and help you figure it out. So that's kind of the framework around it. It's real custom. And it's back to the cities and their customization. The police departments that we have here, wow, they might, I was driving 40 on Lakeshore today to get here. They might get you at that 5 over. I will say they are definitely our friends. We have called more than once when a Meals on Wheels client just doesn't answer the door.
Right.
And there's no second thought about that. We don't say, oh, what are they going to do? Is it going to be bad? No, they're there with us. I mean, in a blink of time. And sometimes we found people on the floor. Sometimes we found people at the doctors.
Yeah.
No harm. That's what our community does well, is the safety net is way stronger than any one organization could ever do. That's why we want to continue to live here.
Right. Just to reiterate some of the basic services from SAC, in addition to the activities that will go on in the beautiful new building, there's a lot of things you do in the community with volunteers.
Right,
in addition to Meals on Wheels. What are some of the other things that you help people with? Well,
there's Meals on Wheels. That's the big program. The other thing is home repair, and that is another partnership with the governments. So we do everything from leaky faucets to whole roofs. And the program is really kind of incredible because it's a well thought out federal program. This program was created a long time ago, and we could fix your roof. And speaking of reverse mortgage, what happens is the government then pays for it right now, so SAC is reimbursed for the roof fixing, but you get a lien on your house for whatever it costs. So let's say the roof costs $5,000. When you pass away or sell your house, then SAC gains the money back again to keep the program being perpetual. So I think it's one of the best thought out programs, because here's the thing. You want your roof fixed, and it keeps the property values up in our community, and you want to be able to stay in your home, and you can't afford to pay for it. So it's just a win-win for everybody involved.
Is that program used a lot, Sharon?
Oh, yes. Right now, I was just talking to the lady that's in charge of it yesterday in our office, and she has a waiting list, and she's just running through them all. So that's used quite a bit. But the home repair, where we just do the leaky faucets and all that, again, keeping the value up for our community, and also being able to just fix it, and that's just a little stipend.
So for some of the smaller repairs that don't require quite the investment, it's just a charge?
Yes, and it's a sliding scale.
I see.
So depending on your income, if you're real low income, basically you're going to be taken care of, and then depending on your ability to pay, again, the sustainability of the program. And that's sort of what all senior services across the nation are looking at now, is as these boomers come, how do you sustain it? So we're looking back in our community and saying, if the seniors vote with their feet and say this is an important program, we'll keep doing it. But we're also asking people to put a little bit of their own money into it to say, yes, it's that important. You know, we're not just, the government can't afford to pay for it, and the rest of our funding at SAC comes from donations. So we've created many sustainable programs throughout our agency to say, is it important or is it not?
Yeah, good, good. Rich, as a civic servant, what keeps you up at night?
Honestly, many people ask why I ran for council, and Grosse Pointe Woods is my home. My son is 4th generation Grosse Pointe Woods resident. It's the only home I've ever known. It's my family, it's my community. I take it probably sometimes a lot more to heart, and not that anyone else does, but I really, really have a sincere feel for what I do. And any detail, it doesn't matter. We talk about just services for older citizens or the senior commission. That's how I was introduced to everything in the first place. And irony of ironies is that a few years ago, my son was going through his confirmation at Star of the Sea. He needed some community service hours. So we were able to get with SOC and found out that they have a program at Christmas time to deliver Christmas baskets. And it just went from there. And the first house we did, my son came back to the Jeep. He looked at me, his eyes were so wide. He says, "Dad, you have no idea how much this is appreciated." And that really just set the tone moving forward. And that's just one of many stories. People are involved, like you said, Meals on Wheels, or even there's a program with SOC about delivering food for pets.
Meals for Mutts and Meows.
Meals for Mutts and Meows. Another great program that's out there. Once again, there's just so many things in this community that we're doing that people are not aware of.
Right.
And it's so nice that we do have an organization like this, or just several others in the community that could be doing anything and everything to help people out. So it's just, it's really just very much an honor to be involved with at the end of the day. It really is.
Yeah, that's great.
I think the thing that comes from our community is, since we're smaller, and not a great metropolis, but since we're smaller, we can answer the needs quicker. Our agency is not that huge. So if a need comes up and it's big, like Meals for Mutts and Meows, or those kind of things, we try it. We're willing to try and say, does it need it? So that's what's happened in our community that's kind of a blessing, is we're small enough to be nimble and be able to say, this is what's coming, let's just address it and see what we can do. And also the volunteerism makes a big difference. We wouldn't be able to do one-on-one counseling without a lot of volunteers. A lot of the services we do could not be done. There are over 500 volunteers that volunteer at SOC. So it would be impossible without that.
And a lot of those volunteers go out into the community and help people in their own homes as
Absolutely,
well. Right?
absolutely, on a variety of levels. And they are the eyes and ears. So if you're homebound and you're not coming to SOC, somebody comes and visits you every day, or even just delivers dog or cat food to you, they're seeing you. So they know you. And if all of a sudden you're not talking like you have been, again, comes back to our social workers, could go to the police, could go to wherever it is that we can help.
Right.
So you're not disconnected. That's something.
I think that's really important, that you have social workers on your staff.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
That's that was a program that at a national level, the federal government thought, oh, we don't need social workers anymore, about 10 years ago. And they got rid of it. And so we kept our feet in and thought, we're going to keep it, and it's been funded by donations, again, because we know it's important. And I have to laugh, because now I go to federal meetings, and they have an idea they're going to put social workers in the communities. Go figure.
Talk to us a little bit about some of the national awareness. You really do have a nice insight into what is going on elsewhere in the country.
Right. We're part of several networks, but our biggest thing is with the National Council on Aging. So our staff, 4 of our staff members just were in Chicago at the National Conference, which is 5 days long. So all on the trends of communities, and a lot of it is what we're doing, walkable communities and those kind of things. All on the trends of Medicare, Medicaid, how do you deal with it? All on the trends of programming. I mean, some of the programming across the nation is kayaking for seniors. We're not there, but we're getting there. So all those things, but all that, and the social, the emotional, the spiritual angle, all those things are kind of the government and the Council on Aging is moving it forward, and then we go in and we pick up all the pieces. And then we are part of network groups where we talk, so we're paying attention to what everyone else is doing and picking up what works for our community. So it's exciting to be there, and exciting that we can send our staff and that we're able to do all that.
Right, right. What's the most recent, besides the kayaking, what's the most recent thing you learned about that you said, we're going to do that?
Well, a program we just started and we'll do again in the fall is we're having a book study group called The Doctor in the Mirror. And it's an amazing book. If you haven't read it, get it. It's a great read. But what it is, we really need to be our own doctors. Not that we're getting rid of doctors, but we have to take responsibility, and this community is very good at it, for ourselves. Our health is really about us.
And our medical community does advocate that.
Yes.
There's not a doctor that
Absolutely.
you talk to that doesn't.
Absolutely. So the book study has been really interesting. We started off with a big group of people. We came in, we had some speakers talk, but every week they go home and read a different chapter on it, or a section, and then they come back and share. And I've been listening. They're sitting right outside my office doing it. The conversations are great. One of our seniors, he's in his late 80s. He's my inspiration. His name is Ed, and he wouldn't mind if I said this. He said, the thing is, I've had a good attitude since I was a small child, and a good attitude is what really matters. So the Doctor in the Mirror, this is just bringing it out and letting us accentuate to each other. So there'll be more of that, but bringing back the health angle to, we'll take responsibility for ourselves, and how can the medical community help us do that. So that's
great.
a big angle that the boomers, they care about.
Yes. What's your average age of member or participant?
Well, the thing is, last year we served 90% of the seniors, that's anybody over 65, in our community in some way. So, that said, maybe for the lunch program, it's a little older, it might be the 80s. But for Medicare education, it's, you know, early 60s.
Yeah.
So we have something for everyone, and we want to hear more of what they want and what we can have more of for everyone.
Right.
So
That's great. That's great. We're close to the end of our show again, if you can imagine, but I want to give you each about a minute each to kind of wrap up when you think about this population and you think of it in personal terms, your grandparents, your parents, somebody who's touched you that you've been associated with, what really would you like to see the future of our community look like?
Well, mostly I'd like to
10,
see it keep on being nurturing. Like I said at the beginning, the most important thing is that we're all here. The children of our community are important, the empty nesters are important, and the seniors are important, but we all need to work together, and that's what we do well. And that's the kind of community that you can age in. So as long as we're all there for each other, you know, as long as Rich's son is willing to rake leaves for a senior, that will matter, and they are willing to share their wisdom with your son. It all goes around. These people are in our community, all levels. That's what's important to me, and I applaud the cities for being that.
Yeah, great. Rich?
I would just basically echo those comments. I mean, it sums it up perfectly. It really does. It's continuity of community, everyone being involved, and all just the different great aspects that we have in this area.
I think the ongoing knowledge too of the demographics and looking at those and continuing to work together is with our neighboring communities, looking at the research not only from SEMCOG but Wayne State's Institute of Gerontology and so forth. So thank you both so much for coming. We'll do it again real soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. We've come to the end of another episode of Aging Well in America. As always, we're interested in your comments, your ideas for future shows. Please send them to us here at the War Memorial.